If you believe the opinion polls, around 70% of members of the general public say that parties' manifestos are absolutely crucial in deciding how they're likely to vote at a general election. And one of the key dividing lines that we're seeing between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party is the issue of policy towards business and taxation. That's obviously going to be extremely important to businesses like those here in the City of London. The Conservatives are trying to present themselves very much as the party of business. They've announced, for example, an ambition to complete ambitious global free trade deals with emerging markets like India, as well as increasing the rate at which businesses are exempt from paying VAT from £85,000 to £90,000 a year.
And Labour have pledged to publish a business taxation roadmap if elected. They've promised to maintain the current rate of corporation tax at 25% with 19% for small businesses. So they promised not to raise those, but they have promised a new system of business rates. So they promised to rebalance the business rate system, and it would be interesting to see what that looks like.
So there we have it, a key dividing line, the issue of business and tax.
The Labour Party and the Conservative Party have now published their manifestos. We take a quick look at what they mean for financial services.
Looking at both of these manifestos, there really isn't much change. It's a message of continuity, and I think this is a fact the City will really welcome. For the Conservatives, they'll be continuing on that path of the Edinburgh reforms and Mansion House. And for Labour, we've already seen a lot of these policies announced in February this year. Labour will be focusing heavily on pensions and how we can use those schemes to unlock further UK investment.
So what does this mean for business? Well, for both parties, economic growth is front and centre. And for the Labour Party, this is their growth mission. We saw Rachel Reeves take time out mid-campaign to meet with her Infrastructure Council and to make further announcements about the National Wealth Fund. So aligning investments with this growth agenda will be key to engagement with the Labour government.
And continuity is also key here. So a Labour government will continue on the same trajectory that we've seen from the Conservative Party, set out in the Edinburgh reforms and the Mansion House reforms. But there's also a likelihood that we'll have closer EU engagement, opportunities for regulation convergence.
However, alongside this continuity is the opportunity for change, particularly if it's about driving investment into the UK. Firms will have the best opportunity they've had in many years to have conversations with government about how change in regulation or policy could drive investment.
So what do the Labour Party and Conservative Party manifestos say when it comes to healthcare and life sciences? Well, turning first to healthcare, when you look at Labour, this is obviously one of their 5 central missions and so is front and centre within the manifesto, with 1 billion extra committed to allow 40,000 additional appointments per week in England by flexing weekend services and also taking spare capacity from the private sector.
And the Conservatives have also rightly given attention to the future of the NHS, including pledging to keep NHS funding over inflation over the next Parliament.
And so when we move on then to look at the life sciences sector, I think when it comes to Labour, the focus here is really around supporting the sector, recognising the contribution that it's making to the UK economy and doing things faster. So faster recruitment for clinical trials and faster regulatory approvals for new treatments and technologies.
The Conservatives have also said that they want to support the life sciences sector and kind of similar policies along the clinical trials, looking at regulation, including strengthening the MHRA. But I think from reading their manifesto, you get the sense that this isn't their priority moving into the general election.
So post the election, when, if as expected, Labour are forming the next government, it's going to be really interesting to see how these commitments and pledges around healthcare and life sciences are going to be made a reality.